Hello, welcome back. A little bit more than last time. People watching this stupid bearded face, it's weird, strange. Maybe I'll move away from manga, but I have too many. Anyways, if you are new to the channel, I usually also talk about manga and not just random tabletop RPGs, even though I do like talking about them. Anyways, March ended, which means that it's time for the manga log of March, because it's now April. Good times. Anyways, I read a little bit more than last month of February, granted a little bit longer, and I felt like reading. That's how it goes. Sometimes I have months where I'm just like, meh, and then other times I have months where I'm like, I must read everything! And March fell in the middle of the road a little bit, so it's not too bad, but, you know, pretty good. Hopefully that fan is not too loud, because if not, this room gets hot, because it's no longer the middle of winter, it's now spring, and if I sound a little congested, that's because I have allergies. Yay! Anyways, you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about the facts of what I read. And, like I said, a little bit more, not too much more, but still a higher number than 29. So, starting off, I read 36 volumes of manga, 0 comics, and I finished 2 series. So, all in all, pretty good. Pretty average considering most months, and, you know, that's about it. Let's get into what I finished in the month of March. Like I said before, I only finished 2 series, so this is a pretty quick section. And one of them was a one-shot, not one-shot, but technically a one-shot, of a series that I finished before a while back, and the other one is just a 3-parter. Technically, one of them is an anthology, but you'll get into it because the first one that I'm going to talk about is Beyond the Promised Neverland. This one I thought was going to be more about the stories and the events that happened in Promised Neverland, but there's only one chapter, and it's a epilogue chapter of Promised Neverland. So if you haven't read Promised Neverland, don't read this first. But the majority of it is just little one-shots here and there of different stories that the mangaka and the artist, the story and artist team that made Promised Neverland, they made. All of them a little bit weird, a little bit strange, and has that same sort of energy of Promised Neverland. So if you liked, you know, the entire story of Promised Neverland, you'll probably like this and the little stories that are sprinkled in. And also, it's nice to see the, you know, the somewhat large group that was at the end of Promised Neverland, you know, seeing how their lives transpired after Promised Neverland and the events that happened within it. So, all in all, pretty good, really quick read, and, you know, interesting stories all around. Okay, and on to the next one, which was a 3-volume series, so not too much, not a large commitment, and like most Yuri that I read, it's a Yuri that is only 3 parts. By 3 parts, 3 volumes, and that is I Can't Believe I Slept With You. This is a pretty good series all around. Kind of thought it was going to be longer. Granted, I think I say this every time there is a Yuri or any short series that I was like, wow, I thought this was going to be longer. And then it turns out, no, it's not. So, this pretty solid story all around. It's essentially, if I remember how to, I said it before because, you know, when I talked about it before, this lady got fired from her job, and, you know, the landlady, who is her, says like, hey, you can pay it off if you know, sleep with me or do whatever, and they agree. But yeah, it's not like, it doesn't seem as, it sounds sleazy, but it's not that sleazy. It's actually kind of wholesome, and they grow to love each other more, and it's very solid all around. And only 3 volumes. Granted, each of the volumes are $13.99, so it's a little bit more than like a Shonen Jump 3-volume series, which like is $9.99, or a Yen Press, which is like $13 usually. So slightly higher, but not too much. And again, it only being 3 volumes, it will not break the bank. So that is what I finished in the month of March. On to what I started in the month of March, which is a lot more than what I, finished. And unlike April, I read a lot more. So some people might say I've read too many new series this month, being that there's 9. I say, you're probably right, but I'm not going to stop. So, on to the new series that I started, beginning with The Beginning, specifically Adam, The Beginning. And this one, pretty interesting. It is the same person, Ozu Tezuka, who, the godfather of manga. Well, the god of manga. Wow. I thought he was like the godfather of manga. I didn't know that they called him the god of manga. Look at this. I feel like that's a little crazy, but let's get on with it. He's famous for Astro Boy and several other series, but this is the first time apparently that this series, Adam, is being serialized in the United States and, other English-speaking countries. So, all in all, pretty interesting for the most part. It's essentially the story of these two, weird scientists that are part of this, research group that want to prove, their robot is superior than other people's robots. And they technically are true, but they don't realize that. Well, one of them doesn't realize that, definitely. But all in all, pretty cool, all in all. And the robot is called A106, or 6 for short. And, pretty advanced, here though it doesn't look like it's advanced, and is able to, follow the orders that it's given pretty accurately, and as well as, is pretty awesome in combat. All in all, it's really solid, and the art is sort of reminiscent to the older style that was, popular back then, but, has a little bit more of a modern update, I feel. Granted, I don't know what the original one looked like, so I'm not 100% sure, but based off of what I've read so far with Volume 1, I highly recommend it. Granted, this might fall off very steeply, but seeing like it's the god of manga that made it, might be, worth checking out. And pretty solid. So, on to the next series. The next one is a spin-off series of a manga that I've read before and have enjoyed, and this one is, the spin-off of it, and that is the Saint's power is Omniponent, the other Saint. So, in the Saint's power that is Omnipotent, the other main series, essentially these two women from Japan get teleported to this new world, and one of them is disregarded right away, and the other one is believed to be the Saint. Well, if you haven't read the main series of it, turns out the person that was, disregarded as not the real Saint was actually the Saint, and the person that, is regarded as the actual Saint is not the Saint. She has a lot of magical powers, but she isn't technically the Saint, nor does she have the ability to do the saintly powers, duties that, are necessary. She's not an evil person, quite literally, and neither is the other Saint. They just randomly got teleported into this world and are like, can we go back? And they're like, no. And it's kind of messed up, but, certain isekai series that do play, explore this concept where they're like, I want to go back You can't go back. Shit. And they just have to deal with it. But yeah, this is essentially her side of the story, and I would say, I can't remember which volume this is, you can read this at, but it's pretty good nonetheless. It's just rehashing some other points that were already brought up in the other main series. Granted, I don't think that's going to be the same as going forward, because you are already by the end of the volume showing more like scenarios that she got into while the main character was doing her own thing. Granted, at this point, like by the end of it, I think volume 6 or 7 is where you can start reading it without getting really out of order with the main series. So all in all, if you like the Saints Omnipotent one and you want to read more of that, check it out. Okay, on to one that's even crazier. Like, so fucking crazy. Like, how do I sorry about that. My throat. Ugh. Allergies suck. Anyways, how do I explain this next series? Okay. The series that I'm talking about, Dan, besides having a name that sounds like a metal song that I know, it's batshit insane. Like, quite literally, I would say, like, how do I explain this? So, okay. How about I just give you the bare minimum? Essentially, boy meets girl, girl meets boy. Boy believes that, aliens exist. Girl does not. Girl believes that ghosts exist. Boy does not. So, they dare each other to go to these different spaces that, has aliens showing up or ghosts showing up. And then the boy runs into a ghost. And the girl runs into aliens. So far, that doesn't sound too crazy. Except, like, the boy, he loses his family jewels in the Johnson. His peen. He loses it because the weird, creepy ghost is a weird ghost lady that is super fast. And the girl... Oh, wait, the boy also gets possessed by that ghost. And now he's technically super fast, but also super depressed at the same time. I mean, if someone stole my peen, I would be a little bit annoyed. But, anyways, the girl, she gets taken and is about to be probed by aliens. By probed, they want to take their, her reproductive organs. And she's like, no. And they're like, well, we're going to do it. And then the boy shows up, possessed, and stops, but, is almost taken out by the aliens until the girl awakens psychic powers. So, by the end of it, they believe each other, and, it's odd. I don't know how else to say it. It's fun. Weird, but fun. And, I don't know how to explain it. And what I just said to explain it is all true. I didn't lie. That happened. And it's great. It's crazy. It's great. It's weird. I love it. I'm going to move on before, I get a little too, like, kerfuffled. We're going to move on. Alright, on to the next one. Something a little bit less crazy. And that is the Free Life Fantasy Online, the Immortal Princess. So, this one, not as crazy as Dan, but still pretty interesting. So, in the world, there's virtual reality, and this girl is given it by her sister, and she joins the game and chooses to be a zombie, and essentially goes and never leaves the starting area for the zombies, and constantly is just wandering around doing and exploring everything within the starting area, to the point where she finds a secret upgrade to zombies that is the Immortal Princess type of deal, and eats the heart of this corpse of the old royalty and gains essentially superpower class. Granted, I will say, unlike others, she did it is explained multiple times she is grinding the shit out of this game to level up in the starting area, which is great. I love it. I have definitely never done that in a game. Don't quote me on that. And just essentially that. I have read the first 2 volumes of it. It's pretty bog standard, RPG type of. It's not. It doesn't feel like an isekai. It just feels like someone is playing a video game and is just going through it, and is one of those people that stays in. You've seen those runs where someone, I think I've seen it with the Final Fantasy VII, where they've run around the first area and level up to the max level before reaching the first boss. I feel like that's sort of like her. Granted, after a while it has diminishing returns, but all in all, pretty solid, and she has to actually work for it. All in all, pretty good. On to the next one. So this one is a interesting one. I say that about everything. And that is Akashki Triangle, I think is how you pronounce it. So, this guy is a ninja exorcist, and this lovely lady right there is his childhood friend. And, this little thing is like the Lord of Cats or something. Akashki, which are sort of demons type of deal. He tries to exorcise the cat, so the cat doesn't eat her, because all the Akashki are drawn to her because she's a special thing. And almost succeeds, and instead gets cursed by the cat to swap genders. And now he is a she, and he is trying to get back get back to being a dude because he doesn't want to be a girl, and all that. Granted, also she likes him and he technically likes her, but then that changes. I don't know how well it's a strange story. I like it so far. It is by the same creator of To Love of Rue and Darling and the Franks. So if you like those series, you'll probably like this. No, it's pretty solid. Hijinks ensue because he doesn't understand certain things now that he is no longer a dude. And, she's realizing, hey, I still like you. What does that mean? So, I don't know. It's an interesting series so far. I've only read the first volume. I think I own the second one, but haven't gotten around to reading it, maybe. Or maybe I've just seen it in stores and thought about picking it up. I don't know. Oh no. Solid. Not really too crazy. Okay. On to the next one. My nose is starting to get stuffed. The next one. I am going to probably mispronounce this person's name, but it is Nemakawasan Won't Take a Licking. This is a Yuri. This is a very weird one. So bear with me. Nemakawasan, I think is how you pronounce her name. I'm probably wrong. Was essentially bullied in middle school and was like, I'm going to be a delinquent in high school. And then the disciplinary committee person that is in her class, You know, you would think like they would hate each other. No, she just really wants to make out with her. And she does multiple times. So that's weird. And then other characters show up and they all want to make out with her. It's weird. It's funny at points, but it's a little weird at points. Yeah. It's a strange one. I think consent is important. So, like, at points it's funny, and at other points I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's odd. It's odd. Maybe it will get better with a second volume. I don't know, but right now it's odd and it feels weird. But, So I'm just gonna move on from that one and go on to the next one, which is pretty interesting, to say the least, I think, for the most part. I say that about a lot of them, but I think I'm telling the truth. It's interesting to me. That's what's important to me. So, on to the next one, and that is Monster Taboo. I don't know how to actually pronounce this series. Like, do you know? It's like Monster or Monster Taboo or Mons Taboo or something. I don't know. Anyways, this series essentially has this girl right there, Miyakawa Shizuki. She lost her parents to a weird monster, and the monster was like, hey, don't tell anyone or else you die. And she's like, fuck, I just want to die, actually. Yeah, that's weird. And she goes around trying to find other monsters so that they can kill her. And then she runs into this guy right there, who is Michizuki, I think. And, you know, he tells her, hey, forget about this. This is our little secret. And she's like, I love you. And he's like, wait, what? Do you not know what I look like? She's like, it's love at first sight. So please, be my boyfriend. And he's like, what? And then also telling her about, you know, these creatures, these monsters called grown-ups. Or grown as in G-R-O-A-M, not grown as G-R-O-W-M. Because, you know, the English language is weird. But it's probably, maybe it makes sense in Japanese, I don't know. But it's essentially like only adults become these monsters, and once you hit a certain age, you might become them. Anyways, he suddenly turned into one of these monsters one day and is fighting against these monsters, and she agrees essentially to help him, though he agrees to allow her to help him reluctantly, and he turns into a scythe. Look at that. Scythe. And the size of the scythe depends on the phase. There we go. Phase of the moon. And yeah, pretty interesting. She also meets other people that are in similar situations, though some of them are a little more bloodthirsty than the others. And she just really wants to be with this guy. It's odd. It's odd, but interesting. So, Monster Taboo. I still don't know how to pronounce it. On to the next one. This one is odd, but in a good way. And that is Coffee Moon. Coffee Moon. So, how do I explain this? Oh wait, I know. This lovely lady right here, who is, I forget what her name is. And it doesn't help, like, look at this. Look at the back of this. I don't know how to... Don't know. Pieta? Yeah, Pieta. Pieta, it's her birthday. Her 16th birthday. Or 15th. I don't remember. I don't think she remembers. Anyways, she goes, lives her normal life, does her normal things, accidentally gets into certain circumstances. You know, she gets splashed by water, doesn't get to buy the lunch that she wanted to, accidentally sits on a park bench that is wet paint, and, you know, all in all, has a pretty shitty day, but she remains happy and optimistic of the day. then she goes home, has the birthday cake, and then it just she wakes up on her birthday again. And does it slightly different. Ever so slightly. Then she runs into her friend that had, the same similar things, but she also remembered it. And it turns out, Pieta, I think is how you pronounce her name, is stuck in a time loop. And she knew about that, and her friend is now also stuck in the time loop. And her friend is like, why aren't you freaking about this anymore as much? It turns out, and it's even said on the back, she has relived the same day over and over and over again for 1,033 times. She has lived the same exact day over and over and over again, because the few times that she has tried to be different, it's turned out wildly different than she wanted, and she made other people feel sad. And after a while, I feel like I would go insane, and maybe she is going insane. I'm not 100% sure, but she has lived almost 3 years living the exact same day over and over again, like a groundhog situation. And you have this sort of thing where I'm just like, she cannot be mentally sane anymore. And it's interesting, to say the least. I love it. It's fascinating thing to think about. How is she coping with everything that's going on? And I would love to read more. And I'm not going to spoil anything else that happens in the first volume, although it's interesting, to say the least. So, on to the last new series that I started. And this one is sort of kind of relaxing yuri comedy, and that is Futari Escape. This one has these two young ladies, and one overworked manga artist, and the other one jobless slacker. And the jobless slacker is trying to get the manga artist to just goof off and be doing whatever she wants, because why not just relax? And yeah, that's it. It's nice. I don't know if they're together or roommates. I don't know. It's nice. It's relaxing. And after some existential dread that I felt before, it's nice to just escape. And that's it. So, okay. This is all that I've read in the month of March. Well, everything new, not everything that I've read. So, pretty interesting, pretty solid, really diverse, I think, for the most part. Let's get this over with so I can blow my nose. So, I'm just going to walk off screen again. Would you look at that? I'm walking back on screen. So, all in all, pretty solid month, nothing too crazy. I will say thank you for subscribing if you did subscribe. I will talk about more Pathfinder stuff because I like Pathfinder now. I did like it before, but after reading more, I'm starting to like it even more. So, if you're here for Pathfinder, I will talk about Pathfinder more. If you're here for manga, I will talk about manga more. If you're here for video games, I'll talk about video games more. If you're here for the random bits of music that I listen to, I will talk about music more. And this entire channel is about whatever the fuck I like. So, if it's a weird, sort of odd situation where you're just like, why the fuck is he talking about that? That's me. This is the bearded otaku. And if you want to see more random topics, like manga, video games, Dungeons and Dragons, well, more like Pathfinder now, and what have you, think about hitting subscribe. If you liked what I did, hit the like button. Down in the comments below, think about what you read. Any recommendations for what I should read? The usual stuff. And that's about it. Stay safe out there. Read some manga. Play some video games. Hop in a Pathfinder game. I don't care. But Have fun. Bye.